Hi, this is Maria from Kindercraze, and today I wanted to show you one of my tricks for easily and quickly hanging student work or anything else from the ceiling in your classroom. I'm in my classroom right now, and as you can see, I really enjoy hanging things up in the room, especially from the lights in the ceiling. I have a train that my students made that's very colorful that's hanging and suspended from the lights here. Back behind my desk, I have a banner with my name on it, and there are two lanterns hung from the ceiling that the banner is attached to that allows it to hang. Hanging from the ceiling and hanging from the lights, you kind of have to look at and decide the system that works best for you. I often hang things from my lights because for me, in my own classroom, in my own space, it's a very temporary, it's easy to temporarily hang things from the lights. My lanterns are hanging from the ceiling, and they're a little bit more permanent of a piece in my classroom. The train here is hanging from the lights from the trick that I'm going to use right now. I previously used to hang things from the lights, and I would climb on all of my student desks, reach up, and I've always used paper clips to hang things from the lights. So I would take my paper clip and hang it from the light, and then climb on back down, and I would do that several times a year. Every time I changed out everything that had been hanging from the ceiling, I changed it seasonally. So several years ago, I learned a much better solution from a more seasoned teacher, and it's one of those little tricks that once you know how to do, you wonder how you ever survived without that trick. So what I end up doing is I have paper clips permanently attached to the lights in my classroom, since I often hang things from the lights. And you could use big paper clips or you could use small paper clips for this. The small ones don't give you as much space to work with, and they're not as sturdy, so I usually use the bigger paper clips. And all that you need to do to get this ready is to open it up. It bends, you want to bend it kind of straight. The smaller loop I always keep closed up because that's what I use to hook onto the light. And then this larger one I open up so that it's accessible to me. I still want it to hook out, but it's wider and easier to access than it was when it was closed. So I usually just kind of do this. I take these little clips, and the very first time I am hanging anything in my classroom, I attach hooks to my lights. Currently around my classroom, I probably have 35 or 40 of these little clips just hanging there all the time. I don't use 35 or 40 clips all the time, but they're hanging there in case I ever want to change my configuration, or if I get more students, or whenever I have a need for it. They're always there and ready for me. All that I do to make these kind of more sturdy on the lights, my trick requires these to be somewhat sturdy. I just take some clear tape and hook it onto my light and hold it in place with the tape. Here's a picture right now so you can see what it needs to look like. So once you have your paper clips set up around your ceiling or classroom lights as hooks, the next thing you need to do is prep your artwork to be hung from the ceiling, or whatever it is that you're hanging. If it's not artwork, it might just be decorations. I usually use fishing line to hang all of my things in my classroom. I like that it's fairly invisible. However, for right now, I need you to be able to see what I'm doing, so I found dark yarn. Hopefully this will help you get a clear picture of what's happening. You will need to have a big loop tied around your artwork or whatever it is that you're hanging. It's important that it is a gigantic loop. So I punched a hole in my artwork, took a huge piece of string, looped it through, and just tied the top of it. This is the exact same thing I do usually, except I typically use fishing line. Once I have my artwork tied up, I'm ready to go. I just need one more tool for it. I'm going to actually be using a yardstick. This is what I use to reach the ceiling so that I don't have to climb. My feet stay on the ground, and I end up holding the yardstick above my head to be able to reach the hooks. What you're going to end up doing when you're extending your arm is you're going to take your artwork and you're going to use your yardstick to hold it. This kind of gets floppy, particularly if you're using fishing line. So what I do is I hold the yardstick with one hand, and with the other hand, I just kind of hold onto the artwork to stabilize it. This way it gets very shaky. If you hold on, it's much more like fixated. So what I'm going to do is move my hand to the bottom of the fishing line, and rather than have this swing around, I'm holding on tight with two hands. This is the trick that I use to reach up to the ceiling and hook onto my paper clips. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like up close. It won't be from the ceiling, but it's the exact same effect. So here we go. Since I couldn't capture an image of this happening very well on my actual ceiling hooks, I took a paper clip and I just pinned it to my wall here. Normally my light comes to about here and the clip hangs down off of it, so you have to just kind of pretend that this is hanging from the ceiling. The effect is the same. I just don't have to reach to be able to do this. That's the only difference. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your artwork and your yardstick that I just showed you how to do. Hook your artwork onto the yardstick. Again, I usually use fishing line, but yarn will make this easier for you to see. Hold on to it with one hand to sort of stabilize it, and you're going to be reaching, so this is easier for me in person than it is from the ceiling, but it works both ways. And all that you do is you take your yardstick and your string, you'd be reaching up really high, and you just hook it right onto the clip and let go. If it seems like the loop is too narrow and there's no way you can get that paper clip in between it, like right now it's very, very narrow, if you turn your yardstick, it ends up getting a little bit wider. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but this, if it's like this, it's very, very narrow. Turning the yardstick makes for a much more broad loop. That's a lot easier to hook onto. Sometimes I kind of drop it once or twice. It falls to the floor. I put it back on the yardstick and I give it another try. Even if it takes you a few attempts, it's generally easier than climbing around on furniture, getting up and down constantly. It makes my life so much easier, and I hope it does the same thing for you as well. This is Maria from Kindercraze, and I'll see you next time. Bye!